Before we can rise again, through the stormy, through the rain. Storm people of the sun, remember who you are, remember we are one. Before we can rise again, through the stormy, through the rain. Storm people of the sun, remember who you are, remember we are one. Finding the higher consciousness to bring us to the calling and deep from within to keep us from falling. Oh, when let the message remain, love is the only lasting plan. And let ease away, bringing equality to every man. Come to the shelter from death to living. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. Before we can rise again, through the stormy, through the rain. Storm people of the sun, remember who you are, remember we are one. Before we can rise again, through the stormy, through the rain. Storm people of the sun, remember who you are, remember we are one. People of the stars, let your light in music God. People of the stars, let your light in music God. People of the stars, let your light in music God. People of the stars.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're good today, and welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And this is the second edition of what I call the Bread for Soul Convos. And this is just a segment where I and a few of my friends and industry experts try to share knowledge and some experiences regarding our music careers, with the hope of helping somebody out there who might be keen in learning and hopefully following the path or taking some of the lessons from these chats. And today I'm speaking to Ralf GUM, who many producers would wish to have the kind of track record that he's had, the kind of catalog that he's built along the years, with 30 years in the game. And just in terms of collaborations, Ralf GUM has worked with Hannah Hayes, he's worked with Wunmi, the Nigerian singer, Inaya Day, Diamond Dancer, Kenny Bobian, Jaidin Veda, Gafele. He's worked with Portia Monique, Paul Randolph, and this is like house music royalty. I'm talking Tony Mombrel. He's also worked with Ayanda Gia, the Nigerian Afrobeat singer Deleso Simi, legendary Robert Owens, the UK soul singer Omar. Ralf GUM has worked with Mafiki Zolo. He's worked with he's worked with a Grammy-winning Karen Wheeler from Soul to Soul, and obviously Monique Bingham, the late Hugh Masekela. And recently, you've recorded with the Grammy-winning group Soweto Gospel Choir. I know that's still in the works. I hope we can touch a bit of that. But yeah, welcome and thank you for doing this with me, brother.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So I want to start with chatting about your early influences and early inspirations. How does I know Germany is probably the second biggest market in Europe, but where does the love for electronic music start, or just the love for music when you were growing up?
That's a good question. I get that in every interview pretty much, and I can't give you a straight answer. I'm not coming from a musical family background, and in our house we didn't listen to too much music. Actually, my parents weren't really into it. Had only a few records at home. But as a teenager, I don't know where it came from. There was just a strong interest for music, so I started collecting records, and maybe around 15 or 16, I had enough money to buy 2 turntables and a mixer, and I just was fascinated by music. It was mainly electronic music, which early electronic music like Kraftwerk and early Chicago house and a bit of the techno and breakbeat, which came up in Europe around that time. But in general, I was looking just for music which wasn't really played on German radio, to explore, to find new things. And like I said, where that interest came from, I can't really tell. And yeah, so I started collecting more and more records, started to bedroom DJ a bit in my teens, and once I was 18 and old enough, tried to get some gigs in clubs. And every time I listened to music, I had the feeling I have ideas. I, again, can't tell where they came from, but I just felt like I want to try this. And luckily, a friend of mine had a bit of studio equipment and allowed me to do my first tries on his equipment in his studio, and I was completely sold. I knew this is what I really want to do. So I started saving again, and started buying studio equipment and tried it on my own. And where it comes from, I can't tell you, but it never left me. And I spent more and more time on music in general, maybe looking for new music, or just sitting in the studio using.
I think, sorry to cut you in there. I think the internet is a bit, it's lagging a bit. Right? Yeah. So I don't know if you have a better reception in another room in your house.
No, not really.
Not really. Okay, but okay. Let's see how it goes. Okay, but then when you not coming from a musical family, have you always had the support, especially in the beginning, from your family with regards to your career? Once you knew that you wanted to do it on a long-term basis.
Not really. My parents didn't really understand. They thought it's a nice hobby to do some music, but it's definitely not a profession. And in the beginning, obviously, I didn't make enough money to make a living out of it too. So I produced or DJed next to my studies, and my parents were happy that I was still studying. And it was like a slow transition from being a hobby next to, at that time, studies, to a profession, which made it easier. My parents didn't have to accept it overnight that I'm now going to be a full-time, whatever you call it, full-time in the music industry.
What were you studying? What were you studying by the time? And did you get to finish it?
Yes, I did. I was studying civil engineering and finished that one with a diploma. And then still couldn't really make a living out of it. But I didn't want to go to work as a civil engineer at that time. So I started a second study just to gain time and find out if it would be possible to start with music. And I started a business study, which I then didn't finish. I didn't write a diploma anymore because at that time I knew I want to do music anyway. And I was too lazy to write another 100 pages about the topic, which didn't really interest me. So I didn't finish the second study anymore, but then ventured full time into music.
Cool. And then did you study anything formally in music?
No, I never did. Now I have to say, I unfortunately at school even didn't like music as a topic. I don't know why, but what we needed to learn there at that time just didn't interest me. Now I regret it a bit. I would love to have more musical knowledge and theory at an earlier stage of my career, because it definitely helps if you have some formal education about the theory of what you do. So I'm self-taught with what I do, and along the way, learned the theory of notes and scores and music too. But it's nothing I studied, and like I said, I kind of regret it.
Yeah, okay. I regret a bit too, because I had an opportunity to really, because in college we had a music course which was integral in part of the diploma, but I just never took it seriously. I really wish I did, but I guess like you when you lose in something, you gain knowledge in something else. And with you and your production expertise, how long did it really, were you sure? How long did it take for you to really be sure that you wanted to do this music thing long term? Was it a point, or was it a phase of events that happened? Were you always sure that you wanted to do it, like, and you were doing it as a career now?
Yes, I think from a certain point, I can't tell you the exact age, but maybe around mid of the 90s, when I was DJing a few years and producing 2-3 years, I knew that I would like to do this every day. It was my thing. To have the security and to know that you can survive with it took longer, and I still have days where I'm unsure. I think we are in a very challenging industry where you never have a guarantee that it will go on. So during my career, sometimes I thought, okay, now I can be sure the next years will be a bit easier because maybe I had a huge hit or good sales or a lot of bookings, but it always changes. And you never have that guarantee that you are able to do it forever, or that you are able to create enough income all the time. So I always knew it's what I want to do, but there are still days where I think, what if I don't know? I don't come up with good ideas in the studio anymore. Or what if, I don't know, people don't dig my DJing anymore and I don't get bookings? So you never have the full security, I think, in our industry. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter to me. Like I said, I still get up every day and I know I want to do music and I want to create, and I think it's just in me. And as a creative person, you just want to create. And sometimes it's, even if I wouldn't make money with it, I think I wouldn't do anything else, I wouldn't change my music for the sake of creating more income, and I wouldn't like to play a different genre as a DJ just to create more income. So probably if people wouldn't dig my stuff anymore, I just would do the same, but as a hobby again, I guess.
Yeah.
But, it's that it's that inner calling just to do music, which keeps on existing and keeps me going and doing what I do.
Yeah, and there's an interview that you once did. I can't remember with which magazine, and they were asking you about the decline of sales in the music industry, and I think in your answer you mentioned something along the lines of you think that as the time goes, more and more like the trend will become like producers will do music more as a hobby. You will find more hobbyists as opposed to finding people who would really invest a lot of money in the music, spending a lot of money in the creation of music. Sales have been down, whether it's digitally or physical sales. They're not what they used to be, but you continue to spend a considerable amount of money in the creation of the music that you make, whether it's recording live strings or recording a live xylophone, which are instruments that people hardly record in our field of music, and you still continue to invest this amount of money and effort in creating the music. What is your thinking about that, knowing that you might not get this money back, whether in sales or otherwise?
I feel I'm lucky that I can finance it with income through other income streams, mainly, obviously, DJing in my case. The thinking behind it is quite simple. I think there's enough music out there, and if you put out additional music, it should stand out. There's no need in, releasing something which is just average and gets lost. So that's one reason why I invest, and it's as well I'm trying to elevate the genre, to be honest. I mean, when I started out, I just saw myself as a little part of a huge scene. And the more I did, I felt I bring in a little contribution into that scene. And without any arrogance or, I'm not full of myself. By now, I feel if I put something out, it must be sounding as good as the best stuff on the market. It should be as musical as the best stuff on the market. And ideally, it brings something new and stronger and additional to the genre. So that's why I try to incorporate things which usually might not be recorded live. You mentioned strings and stuff, because I think real strings still sound better than synth strings. It's quite simple. If someone plays well, it will sound nicer, and the same is for horns, brass sections. You can't really get a proper equal sound out of plugins or your computer. So that's why I still use a lot of live musicians. Lately, I try to record more and more myself. At least those instruments I'm able to record. So I started collecting more and more percussions to still have that good sound, but not necessarily needing a session musician all the time. And it becomes quite handy during lockdown now, because I pretty much have everything here I need, not everything, but a lot of things, and can continue to work as usually. So it's just, for me, it's a matter of getting a good sound, and that's why I still invest a lot of money, not only in the musicians as well. You know it, you've been here. I built a nice room with great acoustics in my house, and so forth, which all adds to being able to produce proper stuff.
Cool. Was it at all important for you to or I mean, of course, it was important for you to make the move to South Africa, but somebody just asked on the page that why was it that important for the move to happen, and if you could touch on that as well from a music point of view, why was it so important for you to make the move to SA?
I don't know if it really was important. I did the same stuff when I still was living in Germany, and I as well don't think my sound changed drastically since I moved here. For example, the Never Leaves Your album, I finished the production after my relocation to South Africa, but pretty much the album still was done in Germany, including Take Me to My Love, which then became a year. But it tells you I did a similar sound already before moving here. And as well, I didn't struggle in my career or anything, so it wasn't important for the career to come here, I think. But it had a lot of opportunities and advantages. When I still was in Germany, I had to steadily fly and travel to gigs overseas because the scene in Germany itself was quite small for Soulful House. So I mainly played international gigs, and the move here enabled me to play local gigs without taking long flights, losing a lot of time, often for better crowds than you find anywhere else in the world. And at the same time, it was artistically interesting to be here because South Africa brought a new sound into, or a new influence into house music, which was refreshing and refreshed the whole scene worldwide. And to be part of it and to feel it and to as well be able to kind of influence it because I'm here was highly interesting in an artistic way because something new, something fresh, something exciting was happening here. But I wouldn't have moved just only because of the music. I'm honest with you. I made friends here. My wife fell in love with the country too. And in the beginning, we said we give it a test try to come here, but then we never looked back. We just love being here. We love the country. We love the weather. We love the people.
Yeah.
And obviously, I love the music and the scene too.
Sure. So just mentioning about South Africa and the music and the sound in the country, I want to talk about, I mean, I'm not the first South African artist to release on Gogo. I think Black Coffee was one of the early ones, and you had Essential I, you had
Transmix Soul,
60 Hertz Project, and Zano too, and but that was quite a good touch, and I think it opened ways for those artists and me, to be received internationally, because by then Gogo had already built a name for its quality and its consistency, and the music was able to be exported like that. But I want to talk about has it become easier for local music to be exported internationally, especially the kind of music that you release on Gogo, the kind of music that's soulful, that's deep? Is there that platform, or has it become better? Has the platform become better for artists, for South African artists, to release this deep and soulful music internationally?
I think definitely yes, compared to, let's say, 10 years ago, or the first time I came to the country, 2008, so 12 years ago. By then, internationally, not a lot of people knew about the music being produced in South Africa, and that there's really a scene, and the music didn't really overseas, except for a few exceptions, a few songs. But people weren't familiar with artist names of South Africans. People weren't familiar with what's going on in general, and this changed drastically. The world now looks on South Africa as the dance capital, which obviously South Africans knew 10 years ago that they are the dance capital, but the world didn't take notice. So this changed. I think overseas media, overseas DJs and other producers now really look specifically for stuff coming from here, which enables producers to get their stuff easier out there and to other DJs or radio stations, magazines, and so forth.
Yeah.
There's still a dominance of American DJs in our scene, which simply, I think, comes from the fact that house music originated in Chicago, and the Americans are still considered the innovators and people who came up with house music, which gives them a little advantage when it comes to international bookings and festivals and so forth. But yeah, with social media being the main promotion tool these days, I think the level field equaled, So those people doing good music in SA are now recognized outside of SA too. Obviously, it might not be the same for everyone, and some feel they don't get the recognition they deserve, and they do good sound, but still haven't broken internationally. But it's nothing which happens overnight. It's a long way to an international successful career. And for me, I'm happy to see that a number of South Africans are now considered international superstars. You mentioned Black Coffee. We have Black Motion. We have Shinza, who regularly plays outside of the country, Da Capo, and the list goes on. So it shows you we have a number of internationally traveling DJs, which we didn't have 10 years ago. So I think we are on a good path, and if the scene stays united and keeps on pushing boundaries like they did musically, I think more will follow in those footsteps of the names I already mentioned.
Yeah, cool. And then I wanted to ask you about the kind of I've been in a point where we've spoken about this, where I wasn't so sure about my own music and where I want to go musically, and if I was in the right path. Especially mostly it was based on financial issues, but is there a point in your career where you really had deep financial issues that got you thinking twice about this music thing?
Yes, but I wanted it so hard. I always found ways to get around it, I had to borrow money in between because I was broke. I didn't have enough gigs. I just needed money, not even for studio equipment or anything, just to survive. So definitely I had those points in the career, and like I said earlier, there's still no guarantee that I create enough income in 3 years' time or even tomorrow. You don't know. Maybe just people don't like the music anymore. You never have a guarantee. But I believe if you are able to do what you really want to do, it's okay to have some sacrifices in between, because the advantages or the positive sides of doing what you want to do will always overweigh those struggles, and you will overcome those struggles if you put in, quite simple, the work. You know, you get nowhere without putting the right efforts in and without working on your own skills steadily. The learning process of getting better or simply knowing more about music, it will never stop. So I think it's just important to keep on, and it's a personal decision if it's worth for you to do so. I'm pretty sure I would have had other options in my life to make more money in a much easier way. You know, just going to work as a civil engineer, they are paid well. After my studies, would have guaranteed, a regular good income. So everybody has to make his own decisions regarding this, but usually it's not easy in our industry to really create or make enough money to feed a family. I like to compare it always a bit with sports, you know. Everybody likes to play soccer or another sport, but there's only a few selected ones who really can make a lot of money out of it, which are, the top league. And it's the same within our scene. So you can't tell another person, you just should keep on doing it for another amount of years, because it depends simply on that person, on the energy that person has. Obviously, as well, talent is necessary. I see a lot of people coming to the point where it gets tough financially, and then a lot of people tend to leave the scene, which is okay, because not everyone can be a DJ and producer anyway. But energy, keep going. If you really want it, at some point it will work out.
Yeah, cool. Before I get to an artistic question, I just saw a message on the Facebook Live. Somebody's asking, while we are talking about Gogo artists, what happened to raw artistic soul?
Yeah, my friend Phil, he helped working on my In My City album in 2014, and after that he suddenly said he's tired of house music. I know he's working on new music now. I'm not sure if it will be exactly the same style he did back then, or if he does something else. But he simply, I think he was a bit tired of doing what we do. And in addition, it was the same reason I just mentioned, money. He's not a DJ, he's a producer only. And at some point, he realized that with doing house music, there's hardly any income. He always did several things, recording other people, producing for other genres. He worked in TV shows as a musician and so forth. So he had other income streams, which just, I think, brought in more money. And that's why, he stopped doing house music, at least until now. Maybe new stuff comes, I don't know.
Yeah.
We stayed in contact for a while, but then over the years, to be honest, we lost contact, and I can't tell you what he's exactly doing at the moment.
Yeah.
That he's doing music, I only saw it on social media.
Yeah.
I hope he comes back, because, I mean, his stuff always was dope, and it enriched the the scene, you know. I think he really managed to bring new influences and new styles and new ideas into it. So yeah, I hope he comes back.
Cool. And I wanna ask you about, so while you are working, and some of your songs have become super hits in South Africa, but just wanna get to, if I could say, the biggest one with Monique Bingham, "Take Me to My Love." So that song becomes big, and it's so well received, not only in South Africa but globally as well. It becomes this massive songs, and you are starting to gig a lot. You're starting to gig more often in South Africa and playing these bigger festivals again in South Africa. But I want to ask you, from an artistic point of view, how do you come back from a song like that, and does it affect you artistically, mentally, now that you're starting to make new music? Do you try to replicate what you did with "Take Me to My Love"? And do you have the pressure to replicate what you did with it? Did you have the pressure? Let me ask it like that.
Yes and no. I can't give a straight answer. I never felt like I should replicate any of my songs. The first song I did with Monique was completely different from "Take Me to My Love." It was "Kissing Strangers," and equally, maybe not in SA such a big hit, but internationally even bigger than "Take Me to My Love," at least in some countries. So I never feel I want to replicate something I already did. I rather try to, with everything I do, I start from scratch. I don't use sounds twice. I don't use kicks twice. It only gives you kind of a sonic direction usually. So obviously I could take the percussion and kick from "Take Me to My Love" and just change the groove a bit and have something similar, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in, creating fresh stuff, which always as well depends on the time I'm doing it. So now I probably never would do a "Take Me to My Love" again, simply because I'm interested in another sound, if I say so. But yes, it puts some kind of pressure on you, and if you have something successful, obviously you don't want to disappoint the people who dig your stuff. So it's pressure you put on yourself to put something out which is equally strong. How you get there, if you don't copy that thing, you never know. That's part of the creation process. But yeah, having, let's say after the Never Leaves You album, 2012, which contained "Take Me to My Love," and which went gold in South Africa, I felt like I need another really strong album. And for the first time in my career, I had a bit of the feeling it shouldn't take too long. I don't want to have the follow-up out in 2020, but rather early, just to keep on exploring the market and staying relevant. So yes, there's a bit of pressure on it, but I think it's self-imposed mainly. Nobody forces me to come up with another hit. Nobody forces me to do another album, and nobody will say, or some people probably will say, but your 2012 album was better. You will always get this once you had a big song. People will always kind of compare it and say, yeah, but "Take Me to My Love" was dope, and now you do Claudette with Monique, and I don't feel it. But again, that pressure you put, you feel, I think it's mainly self-imposed, because Claudette still is dope, even if people think, another one was better. So you can't satisfy everyone out there anyway.
Yeah.
There will always be people who will tell you that they don't like it, or that who will criticize certain songs and so forth. So at the end of the day, our job is a very lonely one, I think. You have to make a lot of decisions for your own, on your own, and you have to create the music on your own, unless I saw a question about ghost producers. You're working with a ghost producer, but in general, you're responsible for the outcome. And so this makes you put pressure on you, and it's hard to get rid of it. But they are ways, I think, once you start believing in yourself, and once you know that, how should I put it? Once you have certain listening skills, and you're honest to yourself, you are able to judge your music quite well yourself. You don't really need the feedback from outside. And if it's something you want to do and you feel content and happy about it, it shouldn't count too much what others say.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. Just one last question that I want to ask you regarding longevity as a producer. How would you advise somebody who's either starting out or in the middle of their career with regards to being this long-term producer in the game? What advices would you have besides loving the music? Would you say anything else should be the drive to that?
I mean, the music should be the drive always. Usually I get up and the first thing I want to do is turn on the studio, just because it has a magic attraction on me, kind of, except for maybe 2 or 3 days a month where I don't feel like doing music. I'm working all the time just because it attracts me. For people at certain points in their career, there's hard to give a specific advice, because I think everyone has a different path in our career, and it's impossible to copy the career steps of other people. What might have worked for Black Coffee might not work at all for you, just because you're a different person, you have a different sound, you have a different personality, which is received different by other people. So what definitely is important is patience. I already said I don't believe things happen overnight in our industry. There are always exceptions. People who have a huge hit and suddenly are the biggest thing in the market. But if they stay for long, only time will tell. So patience is important. I think just being able to motivate yourself on a daily basis to keep on doing, because that's the only thing which can keep you relevant. You keep on doing. It could be live talks on Facebook in lockdown seasons. It's a good thing to stay out there. It can be the opposite. You lock yourself away in studio and you do music and you release it during the lockdown or after the lockdown, doesn't matter. But important is that you just keep on doing and improving, ideally on a daily basis. And if there's a bit of talent, I don't think I'm the most musical talented person. There are greater musicians out there than I am, but putting in the work plus a bit of talent and a bit of taste will get you there eventually. So it's a game of patience.
Sure. Man, thank you so much. I think you shared a lot. And for me, what I'm taking from this talk is just to be real with yourself, like, and understanding. People should really understand that what worked for someone but not worked for them, and they need to find what it is that really does work for them and their careers, because
Yes.
everybody's career is different, like you said, and I'm really glad that you pointed that out. And also, I also feel that people should not judge other people's success, like, and judge their own success or lack of at a certain time against somebody's success reached at a certain time, and
Yes, you can't, if now we mentioned Black Coffee a few times because obviously he's the biggest name in our genre to date. People have to realize he started working on that career maybe 15 years ago. When I came here 12 years ago, I remember on the first gig I ever played in the country, he played after me, but he already was an established, well-known DJ in the country. So it took many, many years for him to get there. And obviously he built a great team around him, which is something we haven't touched on. It can help too, but again, it's a question of your personality. If you want to lead a team and or be part of a team, or if you prefer to work on your own. And even if someone started around the same time like Coffee, it's impossible to copy those steps he took because everybody has to find his own path to, get his name known in the scene. And I saw another question I want to touch on your page. Someone asks about ghost producers.
yes.
So let me read the question quickly again. No, I don't find it. Do you have it in front of you, brother?
Let me try to find it. He says that I assume that Ralf is well traveled and musically informed, so I was doing my regular readings and I came across this on Mixmag, and the part that I liked more is ghost production. Now I would like to know if we do really have ghost producers in our South African music scene. If that's a yes, are the purchasers of this production honest about it? And yeah, he's just asking about ghost producers. Is it a real thing, and do we have it in South Africa? Do you know?
I think it's a real thing everywhere, not only in SA. I know a number of people who do productions for other people. And I think if that person is honest about it, there's nothing wrong with it, And it's as well the question, when do you become a ghost producer of someone? Is it already if you help him to, I don't know, just get the mix right or record certain instruments for a person, or is a ghost producer only a producer when he does the full production? There are so many levels or so many different things to do within a production that I think most of us have help for certain things. I still don't record 100% of the stuff I use in my room. So once another person records, I don't know, a guitar or whatever, for me, is he already producer and ghost producer? But I know you can buy finished productions or beats from certain people and release them under your name. I think there's nothing wrong with it. It takes as long as the business side is taken care of, so that the producer really gets his share, gets his mentioning in the credits, and I think all good. At all sides have some kind of profit out of it. The producer gets paid, the DJ has a song out, might get more gigs. So there's nothing wrong about it. Again, it's personal decision if you want it, you know.
Yeah.
I would kind of feel bad to go out to a radio station and praise the creation of a certain song which I haven't created, you know. It would feel a bit weird for me, but if you're okay with that, or if you say I produced this with X and Y, why not?
Yeah, sure. Okay, just one last question I saw on the page. Somebody's asking, what do you think of Amapiano? And yeah, what's your take on it?
You know, the honest truth would be Amapiano just didn't affect me. It passed me. I heard it in some clubs from the DJs before or after me. And that's pretty much it. It never managed to really interest me that I would get deeper in it and research it. But there's nothing wrong with it. It refreshed our club culture in the country. It made people dance. So it's all good. I'm happy that that style came and replaced some other styles which were played before, which were harder. So it went into the right direction. I sometimes, personally, for me, music and meaningful lyrics are lacking in most of the content. But that's a very personal choice, you know. Except for this, I can't say much about it, you know.
Sure.
It didn't change my style. It didn't change my thinking of music. I think most of the elements contained in it were actually nothing really new. There were beats sounding like Amapiano before Amapiano, and there were instrumentations sounding like Amapiano before Amapiano. And it's just some people took all those things, put them together, and created a new style. Not really a new style even, I think, a new hype out of it. And it's good because, like I said, it refreshed club culture, and it as well made producers and DJs who play a different genre work harder again, because now we had to compete with something new, you know, and we had to show that house music, soulful house music or deep house is still there. So it was kind of a wake-up call for people who do this and thought it will always stay the same. So I think it was good that it came. Musically, it doesn't really interest me. That's it.
Yeah, cool. No, thank you for that. I personally think that what I really like about it is the, like you said, compared to the harder sound that was played in the clubs before, it's much more softer, and it's not too far in terms of energy from soulful house music, you know. And
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yes, and I like the grooves on a lot of songs actually.
Yeah.
It's just that I miss a good soulful singer on top of it and some more harmony changes maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
And that could happen, you know, like somebody out there could suddenly get like a very soulful singer who writes well on an Amapiano song, and it changes kind of the whole scope of things. So I'm never quick to judge other people's creations, in a negative way.
You shouldn't, and I'm just waiting for that moment. And to be honest, I'm surprised that some of our soulful singers sing on an Amapiano track, but don't write that same nice lyrics and melodies they would sing on a I don't know, soulful or R&B song or whatever. So it's just a matter of time until we get obviously some well-written Amapiano songs too. But it's just a general observation. You know, there might already be those songs, and I don't even know because I live in my small bubble here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
It is. It is.
No, cool, brother. Thank you so much for chatting, and yeah, I'll catch up with you soon. I know that you're
Yeah.
working on a lot of stuff. You've got you just released a song with Joseph Jr. And you're working on a dub EP that you're about to release. I don't know when. Do you know when you're releasing that?
No, I don't know either. I used the lockdown time for even more studio work. Yesterday was the only day I wasn't working in studio since lockdown. So 27 days I was working like crazy on different projects, new collaborations with singers I haven't worked with yet, the dub EP you mentioned. But I don't have any release dates. I just have the new song out now and want to promote this and as well give it some time to, have some life out there before putting out a new song. But yeah, a lot of stuff, different stuff in the making, which all will be released as single or EP projects this year, and maybe next year I start on a new album, but I haven't decided yet.
Cool.
I mean, you know very well how tough it is to work for years on one project without releasing anything, and you don't have any gratification during that time, So I feel I want to have instant gratification by putting out singles more and more, at least for this year.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No worries, brother. Thank you so much, and be safe. Stay working. Stay creative. And yeah,
Yes.
Thanks for doing this.
And stay home, even if we go to level 4.
Yeah. Stay home, guys. Stay home. Okay. No, cheers. Peace.